What's up, guys? Welcome back to my apartment where we try to cook dinners or meals for just our daily grind of the week. Since my car is in the shop, we did have to take an Uber to the grocery store, but while we did, I did manage to grab some protein, specifically a little bit of beef because we had some carrots and potatoes and onions, as you'll see here, and garlic, and basically everything I needed already. I just didn't have the protein, and luckily at the grocery store they had two pieces of beef, so I was like, you know what, we'll go with that. I'm just gonna grab everything together. Life in our little apartment world has been okay, minus the car still being in the shop and kind of being landlocked in that sense, but luckily we have a bit before I start going stir crazy and needing to go walk out somewhere. But yeah, I have this pot that my mom and dad got a long time ago, and it turns out it's actually kind of an expensive pot. It's Kitchen Craft or Kitchen something or another. You'll see the logo on it later on, but it's one of my favorites because you can put it on the stove and heat it up there, and you can also put it on this kind of a hot plate tray that they have designed for it, which makes it really easy to kind of do a slow cooker vibe without having the big ol' giant slow cooker. So we'll probably end up using this pot more often, or you'll see me use it a ton just because of the versatility of it. I took notes from the last time and the last video and made sure that I had a pot out so you guys can watch me peel carrots and peel and prep stuff. So this is my scraps bowl. If I had a yard and my chicken still and other animals, I would totally throw this in a compost pile outside. But it's just gonna go in the trash can. This just makes it a lot easier and less awkward than me standing over the trash can and peeling directly in the trash can. I'm more of the less times that I have to go and move around or clean something up, the better, usually. But look, for you guys, I'll make it look nice. And yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the kind of POV content of what it would be like if you were sitting hanging out with me and in my apartment cooking dinner or whatever, basically. But most of the time dinners are where I put most of my effort into, unless there's a special reason. I'm gonna chop up the carrot though. I don't know why I chop it like this, but I think something about the way it cooks a little bit more evenly, and especially when you go down the ends, you can make the smaller pieces a little bit longer and they don't dissolve quite as easily. I also have to say that I love using the lid of my pot as my plate to kind of hold my prepped veggies. It makes everything so much easier. And once again, one less dish to clean, which I'm so used to doing the dishes. Yeah, okay, I'm struggling with this thing. Let's just not pretend that we saw that. But I'm so used to doing dishes myself that if I can cut back on the amount of dishes I need to wash, or just kind of make it convenient, that's always a better way. I'm trying to think of how I want to chop these. If I was just making the beef stew for myself, I would probably leave these pretty big, but I know that the best friend doesn't like celery all that much. He doesn't mind it when it's cooked and stuff, but I think that we'll still get the flavor in it, and in the process of cooking, a lot of these veggies are going to end up melting down just because I'm in a rush and trying to put together a meal as quickly as possible. It's a little bit later than I normally would start, so we're just going to do that. But just trying my best to do a single night beef stew. When it comes to leftovers, if unless it's certain items, if it's not consumed that day and that night, leftovers just kind of get lost in the fridge. So try to eat them, but in the namesake of not having a bunch of wasted food, I tend to just make what we need for the night, and that just means a smaller portion. So there's like there's 2 carrots right now. What is that? 1 stick of celery, and then I have these 2 potatoes, which I love potatoes, and Mix loves potatoes, and they kind of just melt down, to be honest. So we're putting a lot of potato. Oh well, but there's lots of veggies. The whole point is to make a lot of veggies, and I'm trying to prepare this while Mix is also working, so no ASMR today. I don't know if you guys enjoy the chopping noises and whatnot, but I could try to plan cooking when he's not working, or I don't know. This is all a test kitchen, we'll say. This is my test kitchen. No, this is where I'm trying to figure out what the best format is and what's really speaking to you guys. So if you have any thoughts, anything that you're enjoying, please let me know in the comments. Tell me what's working, what's not working, and I'll just continue to try and tweak things as we go along, and hopefully it gets a little bit better and you guys can enjoy cooking with me. I've got our potatoes here, just peeled them off. They're also washed. I like to cut the potatoes kind of bigger, especially when it comes to a beef stew, because they kind of dissolve. They melt down so easily. And tonight, speaking now, having eaten this and having gone through this already, I made a mistake tonight and I put the potatoes in too early, so they do get a little bit more melty and cooked than I normally would have them, but I mean, it still tastes good. It's still fine. I'm still gonna eat it. There's no problem there. But looking at how I cut the other ones, gonna try and cut them somewhat similar size so that when I put them in the pot, they all cook together and it's pretty clean. There's my beautiful little, I think it's mise en place. Okay, so here's something I didn't expect, and you guys are gonna see this, and I didn't cut this out on purpose because it just happens. You ever go and you buy some onions and you're like, this is gonna be great, and then you cut into the onion, and just as you look at it, it's like, oh no, yeah, that happened with that onion. That onion was not good anymore. So I have 1 less onion than what I anticipated now, so I'll have to ration out my ginormous onion. Did give that knife a good wash though, having cut through whatever that black onion was, and using this massive onion, which is probably bigger than a grapefruit. But we'll peel that, and we're not going to use the whole onion because we really don't need to. At least not for beef stew. There we go. See, look at that. That's beautiful. That's what it's supposed to look like. And we're good. My family makes beef stew in kind of the Hawaiian beef stew, where there's quite a bit of tomato, usually with the beef stew, but having made this a few times for Mix and myself, like I said, we're not the most big on tomatoes together, so I do cut back on the amount of tomatoes that I put in. Normally there's a ton of tomato and it's just like tomato, but I do cut back just because I know he's not really a big fan of it, and I'd rather us enjoy our food than force him to eat a dish that's not as good as it could be for him. So we're gonna put this stuff away and save our veggies here and put that in the fridge. Going back, also the onion, we're gonna leave these kind of on the bigger side when it comes to chopping. I like onions, and I like to be able to find them when I'm eating them, so most of most of my chopping and planning is based on how much do I like the veggie and how much of it do I want to have of it afterwards. So I like onions. We're going to keep them big. I love potatoes. We're going to keep them even bigger. Everything's big except for the celery, essentially. But little sip of tea and we'll keep going. Tonight's tea, I want to say tonight's tea was a black tea. But yeah. Chat, somebody, or not chat, guys, somebody is outside whistling for their dog. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's in the background. I have some garlic here as well, and I'm doing my best to break up the cloves, and we're going to peel it. But for the viewer enjoyment, we're actually going to cut through some of this, and I normally like to show you guys everything, but it's literally just me sitting here peeling garlic for 5 minutes. So please understand why I do a little snippy snip and we just don't watch the whole garlic peeling extravaganza. But once I'm done peeling garlic, I don't know if anybody else does this, but you know how the recipe says use 1 clove. 1 clove for me. I love garlic and it's good for you. And I just almost dropped that. 1 clove of garlic usually just means like a whole bulb of garlic. So we're going to use an absorbent amount of garlic just because that's what we like. And if you're making something, you're by all means use as little or as much garlic as you like. But we're just going to trim off the little hard bit at the top. I don't know what that's called technically. But trimming that off, getting it clean. I know you're not supposed to eat that and I don't know why, but that's just what I was told, so that's what I do. And our massive pile of garlic. Gosh, garlic smells so good though. That's like one of my favorite smells. Somebody mentioned about smell-o-vision or like the ability to smell. I was like, dang, that would be so good. That's like a Disneyland thing. You can smell the orange fields as you're sailing through the California Adventure citrus whatever thingy. Ooh, I love garlic though. Yeah, so we've got all our veggies here. Cleaning up our garlic. This is kind of like what happens. There's nothing glamorous, it's not fancy. I guess I could do this in a quicker way, but I'm not a professional. I'm just doing what I know how to do and trying just to make food that tastes good in the end. But we will get a bowl for this just so that we can clean off our cutting board, and then we'll use that bowl too once we finish dicing this up. But we're going to throw this directly in the trash because it's just too much of a mess to put it in that little scraps bowl. This week, where we live, it's been kind of on the warm side, so we do have the air conditioning running because it is on the side of like, I want to say it's closer to 90 degrees. Yeah. Alright, so we did give our cutting board a little flippy flip here, only because it's a cleaning cutting board, countertop's clean, but I did want to use this other side of it to dice up the garlic because when I scrape it off, I don't want that little ridge, which that little ridge caused me such a level of grief last time trying to deal with it. But giving this a dice, trying not to yeet the garlic off my countertop, all the while listening to Mix talk about probably SOT. I think it's SOT right now that's going on. Or Monster Hunter. I think it's still SOT though that he's talking about. Chat, does anybody use those garlic presses? Or what not the graters. The graters are nice, but for this much garlic, I'm wondering if it'd be better if I had used dicey, choppy, 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 and it smells so freaking good because I love garlic and garlic makes me happy. And there was a time where where this like little crack seed store was selling whole garlic cloves, and I want to say they were freeze dried or they were fried or something. And he's like, "Here, you want to try a garlic chip?" And we were like, "Sure." Had to be like 13 or something along those lines, but he's like, "You want to try a garlic chip?" And we're like, "Okay." Go over there, and it's like a whole freaking garlic clove, but eating it, it was delicious. It was so good, but oh my god, our breath was like garlicky. Luckily, everybody loved garlic. Nobody had a problem with it, but ooh, it was not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. So I could keep dicing this, but I'll be honest, this is enough. I'm not trying to do anything special, and it's just going in a stew, so that's more than enough. Besides, I think I might have gone a little bit overboard considering that I have equal parts garlic and celery, but don't judge. This is just what we have. Alright, so we're going to turn on our pan here and start getting it hot, and then grab our beef that we got from the grocery store. Oh my god, I hate these bags, chat. Oh my god. These stupid green bags. You see that stupid green bag? Has anybody else had to deal with these? They're the new, like, eco-friendly bags, right? Because they're supposed to dissolve or compost or something like that. So they're supposed to be more environmentally friendly. They are the worst, and they feel the worst. I do not like them at all. But we've got our two lovely pieces of, I think they called this like a tri-tip steak. It was on sale. It was the right amount of beef for what we needed, and the chuck pieces were just way too big and way too expensive. So we ain't about that life. We are trying to survive on a budget, and this is what looked good. And I figured, it's got quite a bit of marbling in it. Looks pretty good. It's the right quantity of beef that we want to have, so we'll just use that. Who's gonna judge? Once it's chopped up, it's all stew meat anyways, right? But just giving these a good choppy, and kind of going with like a bite size, maybe a little bit bigger, with the understanding that I don't want them to be too big, just because I want Mix to be able to pick it up with this spoon. But I also don't want it to be too small where it completely dissolves, because then you can't taste it. This piece is a little bit more lean. It's got a good strip of fat on it though, so that'd be good, some good flavor. Alright, so getting that all chopped up, our pan is heating. I remember my mom and my sister and my grandma and my dad, when we would visit my grandma in Hawaii, we would go to church and we would make beef stew and then put it on the slow cooker so that when we came back from church, we could come home and eat that. It was so good. Oh my gosh, I hated going to church because it was so boring and it took forever and it was a long drive and stuff like that. But coming home and eating a good beef stew, because gosh darn it, that the church there was always a vegetarian potluck, and vegetarian's fine, but for some reason these people only use like the same 5 spices, and they had to always use all 5, and it just never came out good. Ugh, but coming home and beef stew, so freaking good. A little bit of avocado oil, straight into the pan. We're gonna try and get some color on these really quickly, and cook them up. Yeah, but man, like, why? I don't understand why it was always so hard for some of them to make good vegetarian, vegan meals. Like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with just a good veggie? Why does everything have to be pretending to be meat? Why can't it just be good veggies? Oh my goodness. Something about the smell of cooking beef too. I would salt these, but we are putting in beef broth into this, and I don't want it to be over seasoned since the beef broth does have salt in it. I'm not gonna go and season these right now. We'll just let the broth of everything kind of meld together later on. So normally you'd want to like a spritzy of, not spritzy, sprinkle. But for this, we're just gonna do that. Man, I love watching meat cook. This totally reminds me of Korean barbecue. Oh, there we go. Moving stuff around. A lot of the pieces are coming off the pan real easy. Oh, nice little char there. Beautiful. So we're just trying to get the meat mostly browned before I add in the veggies and everything else, just because honestly, I don't know why. This is just the way I was taught to do it. Cook the beef first, and then you put everything in. Probably because meat takes longer, tastes better. I don't know why. Does anybody know why? Why you brown it in the pan first? I know you do it, but I don't know why, or I can't think of why at least. Man, I want to go to Korean barbecue now. Gosh. So my birthday's next month. Maybe I'll go to Korean barbecue. Problem is that the following day after my birthday is my best friend's wedding, and she's getting married, and is it smart to eat Korean barbecue the day before a big party or a wedding? Should I just take it easy? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Alright, so meat's kind of getting there to that cooked point. We're going to start thinking about our veggies soon. This is a nice close-up angle, though. Gosh, this looks pretty. Despite our stove, what am I putting in? Onion. Yeah, we're going to put the onion down first. Let it season the beef. Beautiful chunks. I am kind of breaking it up with my hands, though, because when I chopped it, it was just kind of more of a rough chop. So rather than dropping in giant chunks, trying to break it up so it goes a little bit more flat, followed by our tiny pieces of celery, more flavors. I know that all these veggies are mostly going to cook down, so just kind of layering them according to how I want them to cook, with the ones I want to cook more on the bottom, followed by my root veggies and everything else on the top. Beautiful carrots. And then we're gonna need to put in some spices. So for this beef stew that I was taught to make, we would always put in bay leaf. I think I have some bay leaf in my cabinet, so grabbing that. I'm sorry I don't have as many stories for tonight. Nothing was really happening or going on. pulling out our bay leaf here. I'll go put that inside. Doot. Does anybody else get bay leaves when they're eating food and they're like, oh, there's a giant leaf in this? Whoops. I don't know. I put 3 because I like the flavor, but you could definitely probably just put 1. These are pretty small though. They're pretty tiny. Oh yeah, and extra garlic because I love garlic. Nice little transition there. After I went and found what I needed out of the cabinet, which was some, I think it's the broth, right? Beef broth? No, tomato sauce. Just kidding. Winco brand tomato sauce. So, like I said before, try not to add too much on the tomato element because I think Mix is allergic to tomatoes a little bit. Like something about the nightshade makes his doesn't do well with him. But that plus the beef broth, it is wonderful that Winco has all the canned goods I need, so we're definitely going to have to do a stock up. I'm wondering, should we do like a grocery haul video when I go to Winco? Because, man, we get so much. It's crazy. Beef broth for extra beefiness for our beefy stew. But a grocery haul, right? That's a thing. People can get on board with those. Maybe I'll attach it to one of these videos next time I go. I'll just be like, the grocery haul. This is what we got. I wonder if I'm gonna have to start getting a little bit creative with meals because we don't do too much out of the ordinary. But yeah, letting that beef broth warm up. Here's where I put the tomatoes in, or not tomatoes, potatoes. Putting the potatoes in. I normally don't put them in this early, but I was in such a rush to get everything in and cooked and just going that I was just like, if I don't put it in now, I have to put it in later and hope that it all cooks. And I just wanted to make sure that we got food as soon as possible. So that's okay. My janitor's in the background cleaning up. But yeah, you could put stewed tomatoes in. Definitely. It's totally fine. But here's my absorbent amount of garlic because I love garlic, and I put it in towards the end of my layer just because I want it to be extra garlicky, and I love garlic. But it basically all dissolves anyways, so. And we're going to turn up our burner heat just a little bit to bring that beef broth up as well. Oh, and a little bit of pepper from a fancy grinder. And then a little bit of salt as well because potatoes. And I do need a little bit with this, so I'm gonna try to kind of push the potatoes into the broth itself, the beef broth, but to be honest, it's okay. The veggies on the bottom are gonna cook down, and you'll see it kind of shrink into it and get more incorporated. All right, and see, beautiful lid. Everything's kind of cooking down. You can see those potatoes. I can't talk. Those potatoes kind of getting a little bit more submerged. Gonna give it a little bit mix, and let them get under so they get a nice cook on them. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If I wasn't doing the less tomato thing, I would definitely put some soy sauce in it. Show you for flavoring, but ooh, steamy. Ooh, steamy. This is kind of what it ended up looking like. At the end, when it's finished cooking, I will definitely say that the potatoes were more cooked than I normally would do, but that's okay. We're just gonna throw it in a bowl and call it good because this is just a make it once you throw it in the pot, don't think about it too much kind of meal. Also, my family would totally serve this with rice, but we're cutting back on the amount of carbs that we eat with rice and grains and stuff. So no rice, which is fine. I'm not a big beef stew and rice person, but here's a hot bowl. Take a nice little look, guys. And yeah, that's it. All right, thanks guys for watching. I will see you guys later. Goodbye.